Hello, everybody.
Hello, and we are in Springfield, Missouri, and fixing to head down past Joplin and into Oklahoma today, good Lord willing. We dodged the tornadoes and the worst of the storms last night, but they say there's still some occasional thunderstorms down here, but hopefully, no more tornadoes. It's a big hope. One of the things that you see on Facebook on like the Route 66 planning stuff, every once in a while somebody will put out a question, what's something that you recommend that we not forget to bring? And I'm going to add something to that list, Imodium.
Yes.
You're going to be traveling a lot of different places, drinking a lot of different water, eating a lot of different foods. Imodium will be your best friend.
Yes.
Heading out this morning, one of the first things we come to is this incredible Springfield, Missouri welcome sign. Springfield, Missouri is one of those places that say it is the birthplace of Route 66. It may have been a surrogate, but we all know that 66 really came from Oklahoma, where a bunch of rich guys in local government wanted to make a federal highway that would benefit their businesses. But Springfield's a much nicer story. Go.
This is one of the building murals on Route 66. I just had to stop and take some film of it. I think it's beautiful. It's in Springfield, Missouri. And thank you all for watching.
Springfield, Missouri, celebrating 100 years of Route 66. And right across from that Route 66 sign is a theater with an outdoor screen and is playing a 100-year anniversary Route 66 clip on a loop. And right over from that theater is a history museum on the square, Route 66 Gallery. So if you really want to get into the 66 centennial vibe, Springfield, Missouri so far is the best. Here's another mural on a garage here in Springfield, Missouri. Lots of murals here on the sides of this building, plus they've got beautiful antique automobile with, look at white walls like that. You can't even get those anymore. Unfortunately, it is raining and lightning and thundering, so maybe we can investigate and explore this more on the way back. But this is a beautiful, classic stop on Route 66, and you can spend easily an hour or two just wandering through here and looking at all the memorabilia of days gone by. So coming through this section of Missouri, you're gonna find many things like this bridge, which will just be like all of a sudden old 66, take a right here and you're on this little road that's not in great repair, and you come to bridges like the Spencer Bridge here. Okay, this is a good look of what old 66 looks like. This little stretch here is pretty much largely unimproved. This is what 66 was like back in the day. A little 2-lane road. Well, actually, it's probably a lane and a half by modern standards, but back in the day, this was a 2-lane paved highway going across America, and this was the good section. So, just letting you know, you complain about roads these days. This is what they had back in the 1926 era to go from Chicago to California. So, doesn't it make you feel spoiled rotten? This is just a mural we saw on the side of a road in a small farming community in a villa, Missouri. It's like that took a bit of work, and just the fact that they put it out here for 66, I think everybody's getting caught up in the 66 centennial.
Red Rock.
So there are tons of these little old abandoned places along Route 66 that are vacant and in bad shape, but they're still standing somewhat. And I don't know what this used to be. Well, it looks like it might have been a motor cord or something like that. But here comes a car and we have to go.
Yep.
There's just some classic Americana humor along Route 66 that you will probably not see mentioned in a whole lot of places. So that is a sign for this automotive repair business from a bygone era, but it's still up there and still worth a mention. Had to wait for the trucks to go by so you could hear me, and I don't know if you can make that out on the video. No wonder his wife left him.
Wow. I didn't know that Boots had a business.
And if my brother's cat having a motel business in Missouri wasn't enough of a surprise, here we are in Carthage, Missouri on 66. And here's something that you hear about in songs like Wells Fargo Wagon, but it's actually a cannon in the courthouse. I guess there are still probably a few of these left on 66, but that actually used to be a thing, and here's proof. Now there's something that you don't see very much of anymore. Drive-in theaters. But there is still a open drive-in theater on Route 66 in Carthage, Missouri. And they're showing the Mandalorian movie. Talk about a big screen. Continuing our discussion of you're driving down Route 66 and up pops something cool that is not in any of the books. We're driving someplace outside of Carthage, Missouri on the way to Joplin, Missouri, and we just saw that alongside the road. In the town of Joplin, Missouri, not only do they have more really cool murals, they also have half of a car in the mural. So we're gonna walk over to the Joplin Visitor Center and just see what's going on here. And Lynn just saw this sign and commented, "The House of Speed, speed dealer of Route 66 on Joplin, Missouri." Cool. And to answer everybody's question, what do they have at the speed dealer? They've got bikes. God, this is a beautiful building inside. And lots of 66, but this is it, the official Route 66 Visitor Center in Joplin, Missouri. This is a grand old building, back when a building meant something. But also here in Joplin is the official City of Joplin seal. Virginia Beach or Norfolk ain't that cool. And a little history. The city of Joplin was founded on minerals. And that is a real piece of what they bind up. And more beautiful murals in the City Hall. Yeah, we haven't actually walked into the Visitor Center yet for 66 because we just keep finding so much other stuff here.
It's called Neighborhood Services.
Beautiful old murals. And kind of stylized too for 66. So we got to ask somebody why all the railings up there say N instead of J if this is the Joplin City Hall. And he knew. So, and they have pictures of it here in the lobby. So this was originally the Newman Brothers department store in Joplin, Missouri. And this was a very, very nice department store. And so when the city took over the building, and the department store was here way before City Hall was. So when the city took over the building, they had to agree that they were going to preserve the building and the architectural features. That includes the wrought iron railings, the ends, and everything else. So again, history that things you'll see that you won't see on a documentary or on PBS, that you see, and you're here and you ask people who live here and they know. It's cool. That's why we're doing it. While we were talking about columns, I got to get a close-up of these. These are the original columns in the building that they have preserved. Those are ornate. You get out here and it's like, yeah, why did we ever let our standards slip in modern times? This is beautiful. Here we are in Joplin, Missouri, at a historic site. Yes, that is the actual address. And this is the actual garage where back in the 1930s, Bonnie and Clyde had their famous shootout with the police. And just to prove I'm not making this up, here's the official sign. So I was talking to the gentleman at the visitor center, and he said people ask him, what the heck were they doing, in a garage apartment in the middle of town? He says, well, back when they were renting it, there was not a whole lot of houses around them like there is today. There's a lot more sparsely populated area. And the stuff that they abandoned in here is over at a museum in Joplin that you can see. But they had also abandoned a camera with a roll of film in it. And the police had those pictures processed. And it was a lot of pictures of them. And those got printed in the news and circulated. And that's how actually most people had their first clue of what Bonnie and Clyde actually looked like. So again, you come through these places on 66, and you hear stuff and you've seen it mentioned in a book somewhere or on a documentary, but the people who live here actually know the dirt. So it's so cool to find out all these little things. Well, one of those reasons I say that you need to make several trips down Route 66, because you're not always going to get to see everything you wanted to. Last time I was here, Joplin, Missouri had been devastated by a tornado and they were still rebuilding, so access to this area where the Great Falls are was still closed and there was just no way around it. So, but today we get a chance to see it, and because of the recent heavy rains, the falls are spectacular. It is beautiful here, and Lynn likes nature. She wants to see the painted desert and things like that, and has an interest in the meteor crater. But I had totally forgotten about the falls. And when we went to the visitor center, the guy's telling us about it, and I saw her eyes light up, and I'm like, well, I'm going to take her to see the falls, because I never saw them either, and it's a good excuse because we have to drive past Bonnie and Clyde's apartment to go see them. So here we are.
Thank you.
She's worth it. And while we were here, a piece of a tree just went over the falls. Now we're a bit away. This is on some significant magnification, but that's a pretty big piece of tree. And all that water is coming over it and hasn't broken it. So yeah, this is no small falls. We are on an old section of Route 66 going between Missouri and Kansas. And just to make sure that there is no confusion where you are, they have painted a big yellow line down the street. And there are lots of cars coming, of course, when I'm gonna go video it. And here comes one more. He's of course turning. So, on this side of the line, you are in Kansas. On the other side of the line, you are in Missouri. And here's Hogs and Hot Rods sitting right here on the state line. These are your Kansas Route 66 markers, but there's only 13 miles of Route 66 in Kansas, so it takes a little bit of work to get lost over here. And this is definitely different than the last time I was up here. Galena, Kansas has been very, very busy preparing for the centennial of Route 66. They're putting up an archway and they're putting up one of those drive-through 66 things. Let's go look at it. And just like we've seen at places like Kingman, the Route 66 drive your car through. So they have built this big, impressive arch along Route 66 where you come into Galena. And they have made it quite ornate. Murals on the arch, even on the base blocks that are supporting the arch. This is amazing how much they've done for this. And all this was here last time I did Route 66, but it has been greatly spruced up. Recognize the police car from a certain movie? He's here. And of course a tribute to Mater. Little tractor tip in there. And there's McQueen back there. And of course we've got Luigi's Pit Stop. And our little buddies. And this little section of Galena, Kansas has always been very Route 66. But now with the centennial, like I said, it's only 13 miles, but they are going all out. So, happy to be here. Happy to see this, how much this has grown. Tribute to good old Mater. And Fillmore, you gotta love Fillmore. You know, and if you get into, and here's a classic, Galena, Kansas with the fam. And as seen on Facebook, Gearhead Curios in Galena, Kansas. They have done a lot of work on this place since I was last here. So I'm excited to go in there and see how the bathroom turned out. And there's the McQueen's and the old gas pump. And let's not forget our good buddy here. Oh my God, they have added a whole, well, they've opened a whole nother room in here. Just tons and tons and tons of t-shirts and memorabilia. and Route 66 stuff. And I'll tell you what, it's one of these things that I remember this place 3 years ago and see the work that's been put into it. And it's like, I'm proud. It's like one of those things I am proud to be like a very long-standing friend on Facebook. So I've just been watching this stuff grow on Facebook, but to actually come here and see all he's done with it in person is just amazing. Okay.
Okay, Aaron, the owner, found the place 2018. I don't know how much you know, but I'll go over the spiel. Was an old Texaco station in the 1930s. Redid the ceiling and everything. All of our license plates have been gifted to us. Back here was all trees and bushes and everything, so we added on to it. And Aaron's dad built in this sliding barn door. We gave him the key, so the key's a half inch wrench, welded on a washer from AMC Ambassador Hubcap. So our restroom is in several newscast showings, documentaries, influencers posts. We've had 2 weddings in there, and it's a nice photograph restroom on Route 66. So, are you ready to see the restroom? Yes. Are you ready?
Now, the first time I was here years ago when he was working on this, he said, see that tree out there? That's the restroom. We're working on building one. Oh, wow.
Feel free to turn the line on right behind you. So, Aaron wanted a pink restroom, hence pink checkered floor, 1952 pink toilet. Fun fact, I started my job about a year ago. I had super blonde hair, pretty much like yours, and I dyed parts of it pink. So, to match our restroom, because why not? So, almost everything in here is made by Aaron. The wrenches for the coat hooks, C-clamp for the toilet paper holder. We have our funnel. And then, so as you already know, we have our saying, I hit the funnel being in question, and it's geared more towards the ladies. So, here's these. There's instructions on the back. I have not done it. I can't give you advice, so sorry. But there's your horn of victory. So, there you go. Gas nozzle for our sink, oil can for our soap dispenser, 58 Ford radiator, valve cover for lights, air filter cover for lights, headlights for more lights, and then our very sanitary continuous paper towel roller. So, yeah, there's our famous restroom.
And just remember, no diving in the shallow water.
When I first walked in, all I wanted to know was, as long as it's not this one I have to be in.
Nope.
I think I can do it.
It's that one. And we have a mop, too. So,
in case you miss.
yeah.
Yep. And the big pedal down there is how you flush it.
Yep.
Okay.
And just all I'm going to say is all the times when you were out there behind the barn and you doing the horses and you didn't want to run all the way back to the house, don't pretend you're shy on me now. I know better.
Okay. Although it would be wonderful if I were all by myself in here.
Oh, we're not going to let us witness. Okay. Let's see what Lynn can do. And yes, when he had mentioned all these license plates were donated, it's going to be really hard to show all these. But I'm just going to do a spin around. And there is a whole lot of license plates. And one of the new critters at Gearheads is Ratfink. And Lynn's taking a picture with Ratfink just to humor me. And more Gearhead Curios lore. The tires that Big Boy is holding, those were the tires that are on the owner's car the day he bought this place. interesting facts. And on the side of the building is, of course, the American flag made from license plates. And his giants. We are in Kansas, and you're on 66, and then it has us divert off to this little side spur which parallels the main 66 right over there. But this is so we can have an opportunity to go over the Rainbow Bridge, historic bridge. And this is the only remaining marsh arch bridge on Route 66. It's listed in the National Registry. It is historic, and it is still structurally sound, though not with its size. Yeah, it doesn't work well in modern times, but we are fixing to drive over it. So, knew I should have gone on a diet. Okay, and now we're gonna go take a left here and rejoin the main highway.
We've crossed into Oklahoma, and we are now in Commerce, the home of Mickey Mantle.
Here we are in Commerce, Oklahoma, and as it said, there's the home of Mickey Mantle, and here preserved is the house Mickey Mantle grew up in as a boy. So it's very simple, no, it's here, it's preserved for people who remember baseball legends. It is here. So, if we haven't tortured you enough, now that we are in Oklahoma, we feel inspired to give you a rousing chorus of...
Not we. Yeah. But I'll do it.
A rousing chorus of Oklahoma. Oklahoma, where the wind goes sweeping down the plain.
None of us are in tune, and none of us even know
the lyrics. We were lucky we caught it while it's still open. It's an old 1929 vaudeville theater, and it has gotten many legendary performances, but it also has an original Wurlitzer pipe organ that has been restored and is wonderful. This is a video from the inside of the Coleman Theater.
Big elongated pieces on the top and then a middle section.
See the organ down there?
They've been handmade in Italy. We didn't know who to contact.
And the acoustics are so amazing. You can hear that gentleman speaking perfectly.
25 minutes cranking that.
And here's the Coleman chandelier.
So if those pieces aren't securely on the fixture, they're going to...
The original pipes are behind those blue curtains, and you can see the pineapples all around the stage. It's like beautifully preserved from the 1920s. And we lucked out, we were able to Thank you. That was...
Thank you so much.
That organ is amazing. Found a little place to eat, the Main Street Cafe in Miami, Oklahoma. Again, all decked out for 66. So, heard the food here is very good. Let's hope they were speaking truth. And if you're ever in the area, Main Street Cafe. The inside of the Main Street Cafe feels very Route 66. As is Lynn, who is studying the menu, the dessert menu,
Of course.
and figuring out the most important part of the meal first.
Peanut butter pie.
This should be a really good place. I was right. This used to be called the Otter's Cove the last time I was here a few years ago, but this is what I remember. So, hello. We are coming to you tonight from someplace in northeast Oklahoma, not too far from Missouri, just past the town of Miami. If you ever get to Miami, Oklahoma, the Coleman Theater, it's an old vaudeville house from the 20s that was restored, has an amazing freaking pipe organ, but they've restored the place incredibly. Looks like it did in the 20s when it was first built. One thing we realized in the past 2 days is that it is one thing to read in a history book that Route 66 was cobbled together from existing roads. Basically, they just connected the dots on a map and slapped a sticker on it that said, "This is Route 66. Have at it, people." And granted, back in the 1920s, there were a whole lot less roads around, and roads were kind of expensive and new technology, so they kind of worked with what they had. With that being said, I just want to give big kudos to Lynn. She proved her chops today as a navigator, even with an app. Trying to follow this stuff, and you're looking at it, it's like, they want us to go down that road, huh? And there are some
Lots of circles.
Yeah, there are some things that were really cool to see. But, just going down these little stretches, it's one thing when you're in the city, like up near Chicago and, up near Joliet. But it's another thing when you're out here in these rural sections, and like I said, granted, there were a lot less roads back then, but damn, some of the places it took us today. But that's what they did. That's what people had to drive on back in the 20s. And by driving those roads, you get to see a lot of things that aren't going to appear on anybody's top 10 list or, any book, but just some little cool things. So, while it can be a bit trying, we highly endorse it, especially if you're a history nerd like us.
Yep, and pay for your meals at mom and pop places, as they need the money to stay afloat.
In Miami, there was a place that I remember from a couple of years ago called the Otter's Cove. And I'm not seeing it, but we're driving down the street and it's like, I recognize that building. And I pulled in and there's all the murals painted on the fence. And it changed owners and it changed names, but the food is still incredible. So definitely support the little local businesses. Stay the hell away from, any national chains when you're doing this.
Like McDougal's, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or Rory's, or Yako Hell. But if you're going to drive across America, eat the local food, for God's sakes. If you're just going to drive across and eat the same, fast food burgers all the time, why the hell don't you just stay at home? Okay, so it is, if you're going to eat the local
They've got
foods.
diners, they've got sit-down restaurants, they've got drive-thrus. They have anything that you could possibly want. It's wonderful.
And the people who work there are friendly and, communicative, and, they're getting to meet all these people from all over. So if they got time, they will give you an earful and answer your questions. And it's a great place to learn about stuff, about local stuff. We also found out that we're right on the edge of we are now, in fact, in the Cherokee Nation.
Yes.
And we found there's a Cherokee Educational and Welcome Center that we're going to go to tomorrow first thing.
Absolutely.
And go back and you'll see the Will Rogers Museum and some things along in Oklahoma. So, best piece of advice, if you're driving 66, go with somebody who's going to be your dedicated navigator. Because now having a great navigator, I'm finding that I can actually pay attention and see stuff that I missed the last time. So it's a lot of fun.
And it's a lot safer, too.
Well, safety. Ugh, who worries about safety? We're Americans. We don't need safety.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway.
So we're going to go and relax and edit the video and upload it, and we will catch y'all tomorrow with some stops to some places we hadn't thought about or didn't know existed when we made up our itinerary.
Absolutely.
And so far we are safe. Had some rain this morning. No major storms, no tornadoes, no 2-inch hail. So far we have been fortunate and paid attention to the Weather Channel and planned our runs very well. So again, have a good navigator with you, worth their weight in gold. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.